I'm so impressed. And again, you have to think, right, back then, a lot of wood, a lot of wood being used compared to what we have today. Alrighty. Let's get into reading mode and let's get into the Holt Caterpillar Combine Harvester. For most of human history and a good part of prehistory, the principal occupation of the vast majority of the working population was the production of food, principally grains of various kinds, such as wheat and barley in Europe and North America. It is estimated that in 1800, approximately 90% of the U.S. population worked on the land. Until the early part of the 19th century, cereal production depended entirely on the labor of humans and animals. Farmers plowed the land with the help of oxen, mules, and horses, and they reaped their harvest by hand with sieves and and threshed it using methods that had changed very little in the millennia. The first industrial revolution affected every area of society, and agriculture was no exception. Mechanization began with a reaping machine patented in England in 1799. However, the first major breakthrough in harvesting technology came in 1835 when Hiram Moore designed the first horse-drawn combine harvester. Two countries led the way in the development of agricultural machinery in the late 19th century: Britain, the period's technological superpower, and the United States, with a huge and growing agricultural sector. During the 1880s and 90s, firms on both sides of the Atlantic developed new agricultural machinery, including the Holt brothers, whose company manufactured wooden carriage wheels near San Francisco. The youngest brother, Benjamin Holt, was acknowledged to be the brightest, most able, and most mechanically gifted. In 1886, he designed a link belt machine harvester that used flexible chain belts attached to the wheels to power the machine. And in 1891, he created a combine harvester with self-leveling technology slopes. The drawback was that the new combines were so large that they needed up to 20 horses or mules to draw and power them. The solution was to find an alternative power source, which at the time meant steam. Holt's first steam-powered tractor, built in 1892, was a 24-ton or 22,000-kilogram monster mounted on huge iron wheels. Although slow, it could haul 50 tons, or 45,000 kilograms, and harvest a field more cheaply than a horse-drawn combine. However, the weight of the tractor means that it was not suitable for softer ground. In 1903, Holt traveled to England to study the latest developments in agricultural technology. He returned to the U.S. and came up with an invention that would shape the future of his company and define a whole new class of machines. The Caterpillar track is still used today in heavy construction and military vehicles. The invention was so important to the firm that in 1911, Holt decided to rename it the Holt Caterpillar Company, better known as CAT today. The same year, Holt made another breakthrough when he designed the world's first combine harvester, powered entirely by internal combustion. The advances of IC over steam were reduced weight and size and, of course, improved fuel efficiency. The innovations introduced by Holt would vastly reduce the need for agricultural workers who migrated to find jobs in the new industrial cities. Although it was similar to a horse or steam tractor drawn design in its basic operation, the Holt Caterpillar Combine Harvester was the first to be powered entirely by an internal combustion. The crop entered the machine through the header, located on the side of the machine and not at the front as in modern design. The threshing machine mechanism separated the grain from the stalks. Grain passed through sieves and was stored. When the storage bin was full, it had to be emptied into a trailer with the unloader. The chaff made up the stalks and other waste was removed by straw walkers and dispersed over the ground by a spreader. Wow, there is a lot happening over here. So I was really fascinated by finding out that this man is kind of the person who gave us CAT as we know it today. All these machines that I just showed you, the excavation and the dirt and, tanks, thank the military as well. the military would also begin to get into these machines and use them for their own agenda. But all of this, I never knew that. I really never knew that. And wow, that is all I can say. Wow. But also the horses. You guys, look at this picture. 20 horses. I would count them all, but this picture is a little hard. So it really did take 20 horses to power that. And just like we had talked about that the steam engine, we talked about that last week, steam engine is so inefficient and it wasted more than it produced, honestly. That's how wasteful the steam engine was. So the internal combustion engine, when that came around, remember we talked about diesel as well, and the way that he used the internal combustion system as well as the fuel and how that worked. It saved so much more on energy and use. So the Holt, him bringing us this new type of harvester, he also went to the new type of engine that we're using, or the new technology that we're using to power such machines. And I think, yeah, the efficiency is drastic. The efficiency, of course, would be drastic. But today, us, suburban children, we're not really aware of how these things work. I'm learning about them now because I'm curious and I'm finding about them now. But this looks so fascinating. Benjamin Holt, the youngest and brightest and most gifted of all the children in that area. And this is so cool. This is so basic, but so cool. Basic meaning the design compared to what it is today. I'm aware of how complicated these men and what they do are. And we have the cat today. We have the design of what we're looking at patented in October 1915. We have the wheel over here. And then, of course, we have a regular one back in the day of what it would have looked like. And it's just so crazy how we go from this to this. That's so cool. And all the pieces in there, I wonder how the guys work them out. I really am so curious.